huge news yesterday that could turn out to be ultimately kind of nothing, or it could turn out to be, I guess, sort of significant. And part of that depends on Congress, Krystal.
Yeah, as we were saying.
So we can put the first element on the screen. This is Donald Trump on Sunday afternoon talking about prescription drug prices on Truth Social. And I'm going to read this. For many years, the world has wondered why prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals in the U.S. were so much higher in price than they were in any other nation, sometimes being 5 to 10 times more expensive than the same drug manufactured in the exact same laboratory or plant by the same company, question mark, question mark, question mark, after a few lines of all caps there. If you didn't get it from my voice, I'll just let you know that's what it is. Now we're going to lowercase. It was always difficult to explain and very embarrassing because, in fact, there was no correct or rightful answer. Rightful, interesting. The pharmaceutical drug companies would say for years that it was research and development costs and that all of these costs were and would be, for no reason whatsoever, borne by the, quote, suckers of America alone. Campaign contributions can do wonders, but not with me, he says, and not with the Republican Party. Interesting, on the same day, Krystal, is the Cutter plane announcement.
Yeah.
So we could go to the next slide. Yeah, so he says, therefore, I'm pleased to announce that tomorrow morning, so today, in the White House at 9 a.m., I will be signing one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. Prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 30 to 80%. They will rise throughout the world in order to equalize, and for the first time in many years, bring fairness to America. I will be instituting a most favored nations policy whereby the U.S. will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world. Our country will finally be treated fairly, and citizens of healthcare costs will be reduced by numbers never even thought of before. So, Krystal, this is a fairly significant announcement. I think probably more significant if momentum builds in Congress to actually codify this. So Roe tweeted actually late last night, 11:38 p.m., I am willing to introduce the Trump EO exactly as written as legislation to be bipartisan and get something done for the American people. Any Republicans willing to co-sponsor? Let's then get Speaker Johnson to call a vote on it. So Congressman Khanna, obviously a Democrat in the House of Representatives, now calling on Republicans to take that EO text and pass it through Congress, pass it through the Senate, and make it law, because an EO can get, again, as Roe says, challenged by Big Pharma. So that, I think the likelihood of this actually becoming law probably depends on whether Republicans are willing to get this through Congress, and that seems highly unlikely, especially the Senate.
Yeah, well, I mean, my top line reaction is that this is probably fake, an attempt to generate positive headlines to distract from the fact that the big, beautiful bill entails giving a giant tax cut to the rich, paid for by, cuts to healthcare for poor people. So that's my big take. And the reason I say that, I would love to be proved wrong, by the way. The reason I say that is because he did almost the exact same executive order in his first term, and it got immediately blocked by multiple courts. So maybe something will be different. Maybe there's a different legal strategy. It's 9:09 now as we're recording this. I don't know if he's released it yet, but we haven't seen all the details. But the way he describes it in this Truth Social is pretty much identical to the executive order in the first Trump administration, which immediately got blocked and struck down. We also know that he had been talking to the Republicans about including something like this in the reconciliation bill, and they all balked at it. So, the Republicans are not willing to go along with it, and he hasn't shown in the past that he was actually committed to following through in order to get something accomplished. And what I mean by that is, look, if you are going to do something like this, it really can't be done through executive order. It does have to go through Congress. Yeah. So if he wants to accomplish this, he would take Roe up on his offer here. He would, steamroll Republicans and make this as much of a priority as it would take it being as much of a priority as something like his immigration policy is. And I see no signs of that. So until I'm proven otherwise, I have to think that this is an attempt to grab headlines and distract from many of the very indefensible and unpopular things that are happening with this reconciliation bill and with his administration in general.
This sparked another billionaire on Billionaire war, by the way, civil war in the billionaire class, because it seems as though Bill Ackman popularized this idea in Trump circles. He was kind of bragging about that. It was, he posted an idea that looks a lot like this on March 7th of 2024 and kind of took a victory lap yesterday. Then Mark Cuban jumped on and said, the manufacturers aren't the big problem, Bill. They could sell brand meds for far, far less, and in some cases lower than other countries today, if you take the big PBMs, so pharmacy benefit managers, out of the middle. And you are part of the problem, Bill. I'll bet you signed a pharmacy benefits deal with a big PBM. Tomorrow, call them and ask for a list of your claims and the net drug price paid for each. Ask them for a net price list after rebates that you can verify. Let me know how long they laugh at you. He goes on to say, the issue is that CEOs have no clue about their pharmacy or healthcare benefits, so they work with the PBMs that cause this mess, assuming their consultants are doing the right thing by them. He said this EO can have a huge impact, but it has to be built around transparency and removing the middlemen. So the PBMs are obviously a part of this problem. Actually, there's going to be some conservative backlash to this. We've seen that before too, because it's price fixing and they're in the pocket of big pharma. There will be some completely ideological and sincere conservative disagreement with this because they see it as price fixing, and we don't need to open up that can of worms necessarily, but whether this actually gets through Congress, that's the problem. Is Republicans partially are in the pocket of big pharma, like many Democrats, and then partially also have this ideological aversion to anything that looks like price fixing. So good luck with that, Mike Johnson and Roe, sadly.
Yeah, well, and I mean, on the merits, like it is absolutely unjustifiable that Americans pay so much more for prescription drugs than anywhere around the world. Trump is right that we are expected to foot the bill for all their overhead and their quote-unquote research and development. Now, the other thing that this is wildly at odds with the rest of the Trump administration plan is, every single new drug molecule that has been developed over the past several decades has been funded by public research. It has not come out of industry. It has come out of public research dollars, the very dollars that are being completely slashed and gutted by the Trump administration currently. So the actual innovation that has pushed forward in advanced science, that is under assault, and that would inherently actually push more into private industry, and we would have to rely more on private industry. And a lot of the quote unquote R&D that private industry does is more about trying to extend their patents, reformulate something they already know works and is popular in order to extend their patent life. That is what a lot of their research and development funds ultimately go into. And yes, the American taxpayer and the American consumer have been forced to front that research and development through these extraordinarily high prescription drug prices. The place where it's most egregious is with Medicare, where have been banned from even negotiating with drug makers to lower drug prices. That's something the Biden administration took some tepid steps in the direction of fixing. I believe this is part of the Inflation Reduction Act, where they had a list. It wasn't all drugs, but a list of certain top drugs that now Medicare is going to negotiate on, and that is, a small but quite significant win. Those are the sorts of things that you would need to do to actually get this under control. So we'll see where it goes from here, but color me skeptical until I see some actual commitment to this and action beyond what, again, he did in the first Trump administration with literally zero effect.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.